Hey guys, hope you're well. Just recently I watched a couple of videos about this Indian guy called Akaash, and I think he's a comedian or something. So I don't know what happened, but anyways, his wife basically went social media, right, YouTube or whatever, and publicly it was like saying some bad things about no, like kind of humiliating things, and he basically got you know labeled as a simp. And what he actually did, I don't know what he did, but I think basically he just got this Indian wife who's really like um, trying to make it. I guess maybe she's trying to be funny with those jokes, but anyhow, um, kind of related to what I'm trying to talk about today, and that is why these girls are Indians, and also I guess also the Chinese girls also do that, especially to the Chinese men, and reminded me really a lot. This whole debacle reminded me of being taken as a simp. Back in the day, I don't know if you guys watched my previous vlog about dating experience in Shanghai, China, and I was thinking, wait a minute, this stuff really is exactly the same thing that I went through when I was in China, right? It was very, very terrible experience. Very, um, the girls basically treated you as a simp. Um, and it's very, very common. I'm not saying that the other cultures don't have that kind of things, but it's pretty much very prevalent in the Chinese culture, and I think also in Indian culture as well. So let me just say why I think these girls are doing that. Because the thing is, when I went to China, let me just say my story. Right? When I went to China, these these girls, they would may go out some dinners, but then they would act like really like cocky or very arrogant. They have a lot of egos, these girls, and essentially what they're doing is they're disrespecting you. I mean, you might call it too sensitive, but I would say that these girls, they're disrespecting you. They because I don't see white girls doing that. I mean, like white girls, they either they really like you, really interested, or just they don't they're not interested. They're pretty direct, pretty straightforward. Whereas these Chinese girls, they play you. They know that you. It's like when you're meeting them, they're putting themselves here. They're putting you here, right? And people say, "Oh, wait a minute! Isn't China very a Chinese culture very what's it called? The word basically not feminist, anti-feminist. What's it called? Machoist, whatever the word is. Like focuses on men. Men powers all the power, etc. That's true, but you see, if you're in the bigger cities, if you're in special bubbles like this Akash girl is in, she's not competing with the average Indian girl like living in the slums in Mumbai, India, right? She's competing with other Indian American girls. So she's putting herself here already. Same thing with Shanghai. A lot of these girls, why we're saying that there's a decline marriage rate is because these girls have very high egos, extremely high egos. And not just me having problem. A lot of guys have problems as well. And I saw through it, straight away. I mean, it's very clear now. But basically, what they're trying to do is they're trying to put the men in down here, right? Why are they humiliating men? Why are they treating men like a simp? Because the first reason is that they can't do it. You know, they're taking advantage of their position, right? If you think about it, like in their corporate world or corporate job, right? They maybe they're manager or whatever. they are taken advantage of by their bosses. You know, that's the reality in China. It's the reality, unfortunately, in, you know, a lot of these, even the bigger Chinese companies. They treat you like shit. You know, they treat you like shit. So they're accustomed being treated like a slave, and they treat everybody else like a slave. So the fact that they treat men like a slave, like a simp, isn't really any news, right? Because they're already accustomed to that environment where it's a dog eat dog situation. People treat each other with disrespect if they can. No, they're not gonna treat their superiors with disrespect, but they're gonna treat the people who they can exploit with whether you call it disrespect or whether you call it you know, they're taking their advantage, whatever it is, but they are doing whatever they can to exploit their situation, right? So they treat men with like a simp because they can treat men like a simp. Because a lot of times also these simps in China are the ones that win them over. If you're not a simp, you're not gonna get them, right? A lot of times men in China are so desperate for any woman. They'll just be a simp. Huh? Yeah. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen in the West, right? It does happen also in the West, but in China, it's definitely much more exaggerated. And uh, I think in Indian cultures as well, it's very exaggerated. I had a lot of Indian colleagues before, you know, they just, you know, they got no religion, they got no culture. They're very, very much, you know, how do you say, take what you can kind of culture, in my opinion. So I do my thing, you do your thing, and you know, I found it very difficult to connect with some of the Indians, especially if they're those tough Indians that, you know, raised up by their parents. I know a lot of nice Indian guys, but those that's another story. They're also not dating Indian girls as well. So maybe they've seen the same thing I've seen. Um, but yeah, so my story, I just continue to think my what I experienced in China. You know, these girls, they put you in this little box. They'll treat you like a simp, and like for example, you would you try to, you know, be friendly, try to, you know, just have some conversation, and then they will also get like offended sometimes, like, oh wait a minute, like I don't need to do this, right? Then there was one time like maybe this was too simpy, but you know, in Chinese culture, you have a lot of people that buy gifts, you know, right? I mean, I'm not talking about big gifts like you know, jewelry or some things, right? I'm just talking about like cheap stuff, right? So I think there was one time I did that, and then the girl got offended, and she was like, "No, you bought me a gift." Like, and I understand if this is in the West, you know, you would definitely, you might be, you know, but this back in the day, you know, I was also too simpy, I think, um, but it is the way Chinese culture, the government wants you to be simp, because the government wants you to be a slave, to be work for, you know, work for a corporation, and you know, contribute to the Communist Party, right? So girls just doing that to take advantage of their situation, and they are acting like they are basically above you. I think the problem with Akaash, this guy, he's he's his initial frame is wrong. You know, if he had been like you know, let's say in a better frame when he met her, he would have been in a better place. You know, yeah, I feel sorry for these Chinese dudes. I mean, like, because they got really no options. The only game to play they know is to be a simp. Nothing else you can do to to win the girl over, because guess what? The girl is already having a friend. They don't know that. They don't know that these girls are putting them in their place. And their only game is being a simp to win the girl over. And guess what happens when down the line when they're being a simp? You know, become like a Akaash guy. So it's my take of a situation. I think there's a lot of similarities between the Chinese and Indian cultures, for sure. Both are very very smart people, but smart intellectually doesn't really translate to having a happy in this case happy life, I guess.